morning, good people. Welcome back. Welcome if you are new. My name is Kyra and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about some podcasts that I have been consuming lately. And not necessarily lately, because as of late, I've been listening to a lot more self-development, personal development, self-care, and then like business podcasts. When I started actually listening to podcasts, I was really more so on the personal finance, getting out of debt, building wealth, fire movement podcast. So I wanted to talk to you guys specifically about those podcasts, and then later on I'll tell you guys about the other podcasts that I've been listening to as of late. But I want to talk to you guys about the financial podcasts that I've been listening to and consuming since I started my journey on my debt-free journey and building wealth. And so we're not gonna ramble, I'm just gonna go right into the list. So the first podcast or personality that I actually listened to, it may come as no surprise to you, it was Ramsey. Because a lot of people actually really kind of got introduced to their financial journey, debt freedom and things like that through Dave Ramsey. I used to listen to watch a lot of his YouTube channel. His daughter, I started following her. I read her, did I purchase a book? I got the book. I think I got it from the library. I got the book. Forgot the name of it, but his daughter released a book about finances, and I actually read it. It was a really good book. I think Your Finances Not Theirs or something like that. I don't know, but it was a financial book, and really good read. But after a while, Dave Ramsey rant started to really get on my nerves. And while I don't listen to Dave Ramsey anymore, I actually do currently listen to and consume podcasts or YouTube channel or their YouTube videos. ONeil and Chris Hogan. ONeil, they are both under the Dave Ramsey Solutions umbrella, so they kind of have the same beliefs when it comes to like paying off debt, no debt, all debt is bad debt. Like that's their message across the board, pretty much. But I feel like with ONeil, he appeals to more of a younger, more youthful audience with his messaging and different scenarios about home ownership, debt payment when it comes to student loans and things like that. So I actually consume his YouTube more than an actual podcast. And the podcast that I did listen to is A Borrowed Future, which is on, I listened to that on Pandora. And it was like gut-wrenching stories about student loans and student loan payments and just like the student loan crisis. If you haven't listened to it, please listen to it. It's really interesting. And some of the stories are just like, I cannot believe this is what's happening when it comes to like debt and the student loan crisis. Chris Hogan is kind of like an uncle to me. Like I just feel like I'm talking to my uncle. I'm listening to my uncle talk about like finances when I listen to him. So it's a little easier because although he has a sense of humor and it comes out, he jokes a lot. Not a lot, but he jokes around with people. You can kind of feel like you're talking to or listening to your uncle talk to somebody about money. So those are two people that I do listen to under Dave Ramsey. Now I don't like agree with every single thing because your personal financial journey is yours. It's a personal finances is personal. So it's really according to you and your personal. Can I not say that anymore? Your own individual journey, story, and circumstances. Another podcast that I listen to is Brown Ambition, and Brown Ambition is two women of color, both of them African American. One of them is Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetnista. So if you don't know who the Budgetnista is, she is someone who is very she's really big in the finance community. She has a book that just recently released called Molly's Birthday. She basically talks to kids about teaching children about finances. And I cannot remember the name of the book, but I know the little girl in the book name is Molly. Molly, I don't know. But anyway, so it's two women of color who are basically talking about finances, and not just finances, but current events and just their personal lives, their personal journeys with money, finances. They take questions, they answer them. It's a pretty cool, nice, easygoing podcast when it comes to finances. But I know that Tiffany, the Budgetnista Eliche, I believe that's how you say her name, I follow her on Instagram as well, and Mandy is the co-host, and I believe she works in finance or HR or something like that. I could be mixing it up because it's another podcast that I listen to where the guys actually work in IT and HR or finance. So they have really great, a lot of good information on their podcast, and they do take questions. I don't think that they have their topics that they talk about, and they'll highlight one thing that they talk about. They have this segment called Boost or Break, where if it's something bad, they talk about it, kind of like a venting session, and if it's something fantastic, they boost it up, like celebration cheerleading session. So that is also a really good podcast I listen to and I've consumed, and two more people that you can follow on their journey. And I know that Tiffany was actually a school teacher who became like this big finance personality. So her trials and tribulations with her finances, she talked about that as well. A third podcast that I listened to and I really was like obsessed with. I have to do some catching up because these past few months I haven't been listening to as many finance podcasts or episodes of podcasts as I have been like more personal development, more spirituality, not necessarily spirituality podcasts, but like more personal development, business, things like that podcasts. So this one is Paychecks and Balances. This one, I think, out of all of the ones that I mentioned, was one of my favorites. And it could be because one of the guys sound like they should be on Whispers in the Dark. I don't know. They just had a really soothing voice. But they have really good conversations. They have interviews with people, be it about taxes, be it about careers, changing careers, debt, the fire community, and that they usually, the conversations were more interviews with guests versus it just being a conversation between the two. And they actually live in two different states. I believe one lives in Houston and one lives in California. I'm not sure though. But just really understanding and seeing that even them having conversations about their own personal experiences and trying to transition from careers as recording a podcast was something that was kind of inspiring to me because of me wanting to change my career and start a small business with my writing and other things, but more specifically with my writing and doing my media small business. That is something that was really inspiring because it was like, you don't have to stick to this job. It's temporary. You can do something else. You don't have to do this because it's something that you're skilled at. You can do you should do it because you're skilled at it, but you don't have to do it because this is something that you're familiar with. You can actually do something that you're passionate about and is skilled at. So that was something that was really empowering for me because it was like, I'm listening to you go through this journey and also talk about your finances. And that podcast, Paychecks and Balances. Another podcast that I listen to is Journey to Launch, and this is more of a newer one, and it's a couple. There's a couple on YouTube that I also listen to, watch, but that's next. Journey to Launch, it is a young lady. I believe her name is Courtney Sanders. I could be mixing her up with somebody else. Probably should have wrote this stuff down before I got on turn on the camera, but who cares? I'll write it down below. Journey to Launch, she basically talks about just finance, anything finance, the fire community, retirement, home ownership, a lot of different things that she talks about. And she does a lot of guests. She interviews a lot of guests herself, and some very interesting perspectives when it comes to money and finances. And I remember one episode, she had a guest, and they were like, well, I just kept finding a job until I got to the money that I wanted. So I worked at this job for a year or two or a year and a half, and then I'll find another job and get the amount that I'm like, oh, that is fantastic. I should do the same thing. So it's just like really inspiring and encouraging to hear these stories. Not that you can like follow suit in every, regard, but just knowing that there is money out there to be made. There is money out there to be made. There is ways that you can grow. There are ways that you can grow. and that's just really fantastic, really great podcast that I listen to. And also, last but not least, and there are other podcasts and YouTubers I listen to. I don't think this is a podcast though. I believe that this is a couple. This is definitely a couple on YouTube, Rich and Regular, and they have a series called Money on the Table, and I really enjoy the conversations that they have. Me being someone who loves film and loves media, I also love the way that they produce their film. I love the way that they produce their web series called Money on the Table. I enjoyed kind of like the background aspect, being able to see things in the behind the scenes of the show. And they have a blog, they have their YouTube channel, and they also have an Instagram account. I do not think that they have a podcast, but I do really enjoy that series. I'll link all of this information down below so you guys can go check them out. But these are a few of my go-to podcasts. I do listen to some other ones sporadically, but these are more like things that's like, especially with the series, like, because I'm telling y'all, I am big when it comes to like film and stuff like that. I just love it. And when I see that, you know, the way that they, you know, execute and produce, and then the setup of everything, and then the conversation, is like, oh, this is perfect, because they're actually sitting down having a conversation. It's as if you're part of the conversation at the dinner table. They talk about myths, money myths, retirement, teaching your children about money, and it's just like beautiful to see these conversations being had at the dinner table, and being a part of them to some aspect, to some degree. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I hope you guys got some good information. I will link all the information for the podcast and people that I mentioned in this video below. If you have a podcast that you enjoy when it comes to finances, be it a podcast, a YouTube channel, a blog, please mention that down below so that we can help the community and grow our monies, get our money right, get out of debt. We're not trying to do that anymore. Get out of debt and grow our wealth. So that is it for this video. If you've liked it to this point, you watched it to this point, you've liked it to this point, and you should go ahead and subscribe at this point if you have not done so already. And if you already subscribed, thank you so much for watching and coming back and see my face and listening to me talk about finances and all the things. If you want to see more videos like this, please like, comment below any questions that you may have, and any podcasts, YouTubers, or blogs that you follow when it comes to finances, so that we can help the community. You know, like I said earlier in my previous video, I'm going to be trying to be more consistent and put it out. I say this all the time and I end up falling off. Be more consistent, but I don't think that all my videos will not be about finances. So let's get ready for that. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next. I'm actually working on some budgeting things for my home, because I feel like I need to make this more, you know, more me for now, at least until I move, because I'm not planning on renting forever. I do have a plan, or I am planning to eventually purchase a home. So, but I do wanted to talk to you guys about my budget and me trying to decorate my place, my new place where I just recently moved, on a budget, and trying to find a way to make it look, you know, more homey and more welcoming, in a place where I can really feel at home, at ease, and be my sanctuary. So I might be doing a little series about that. I'll see you guys in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, share. See you guys. Bye.